Yo, what is going on, guys? We are officially back with another MMA podcast. I don't know if it's like an official podcast. We don't have like an official name or separate segment for it on the channel, but we're just gonna roll with it as that. It's mostly just my betting picks and predictions. This is the second episode that we got as we have another fight card this weekend, this Saturday upon us. I don't know the plan going forward, what it's gonna be like setup wise looking like as far as the videos go on this channel. I'm probably just gonna do my betting picks and predictions for every card, probably like a little bit, a couple of days in advance. It's gonna come out during the week like this. Today's a Thursday, so it'll roughly be coming out Thursdays or Fridays right before the fight times because I also like to wait, for the minor things in case I catch anything when I watch like either weigh-ins or press conferences to see how things go, like the face-offs, all that included, to see if it gives me any like lingering insight, last second insight for you guys to help you out on these bets. But for the most part, I'm probably gonna come out with these as long as the betting odds are up beforehand, because with certain cards we get betting odds way far in advance, and then if a card is like a fight night like it is this weekend and it's on short notice and they're trying to create fights last minute, last second to curate and finish out and round off the card, then I'm gonna wait until the fully finished, like complete betting odds are out, because this card has been out for about 2 weeks and they barely just filled out and rounded out the card like 2-3 days ago maybe. And even with those last few second changes or fights that they made to fulfill the card completely, there was, another fight just got added that I didn't even see before. So this was originally an 11 fight card. Now I think we're at 12, almost 13. So yeah, another prelim just got added from when I last checked. So that's what I mean. And some of the fights, when it wasn't fully filled out, like some of the fights, there was probably like 6 or 7 fights already made on the card, and there was odds for like half of them, and then there was like no odds for the other half of them. So I'm gonna wait until we get the full odds. I don't know props, and just a heads up for you guys, we're probably not gonna know any prop odds until after weigh-ins, so after like Thursday, Friday-ish, closer to like Friday night, because that's when we know if people make weight or not, and if a fight's gonna go through because if they make weight or not. So that's why I'm gonna give you guys my prop, and if it's too far in advance to know what the odds are, I'm just gonna tell you the prop. I can't really give you like a definite Vegas odd line for it. So I apologize in advance. That's just another heads up. I know this is me rambling. You guys want to see the individual fight card and go down the list, but this is just my little tyrant before we dive into it real quick. I will say, like I already mentioned before, I don't know where this podcast is going to end up going and taking, but I do know on here, I'm going to try my best to keep it within or underneath an hour long per episode. I know I tend to ramble and side rant a lot, and the ADHD in me just gets sidetracked to where I need to just get straight to the point and what it is. And I kind of like switch lanes when discussing past fights or past breakdown analysis. So I apologize in advance if I really do ramble on longer than expected. So if that's the case, you guys can just skim through in advance. That's fine, and get towards the end of the pick, like of my betting picks for each individual fight. But also, I will say this: if you do guys enjoy like the full lengthy, talking format for you guys, like the full blown hour long content, and you guys sit through it all and listen to it or watch it, I greatly, greatly, highly appreciate you, because I believe watch time is also taken note into the algorithm. So hey, if you guys are like out and about running errands, you're with the wife and kids, or you're just you and you're going to the grocery store or getting gas or whatever, and you crack on, your Bluetooth audio on your car speaker and just listen to me ramble and rant, I would greatly appreciate you do that. You don't have to do that, but that all helps, me and the content creation of this channel and getting my content out there for more of a bigger audience. So I greatly appreciate if you're one of the ones that do that. That being said, as before I dive into my next segment that I wanted to talk about real quick before we get into the fights, this will be my longer format, longer videos here on YouTube. I think that's going to be my staple. And then my shorter content, I think I'm going to have a more compressed breakdown, like under 1 to 2 minute segments posted on my TikTok and my IG reels. So if you guys want to follow me over there, I know I'm close to 1,000 followers. I'm like at 995 or something like that. I keep fluctuating up and down. It's weird on TikTok. You guys could help me get to 1,000 or more followers. I'm eligible to go live on there. So I kind of want to do where each fight card or each fight night, even the main cards, I kind of want to go live and do a little watch party. I'm obviously not going to be able to show the fights because that's copyright and I want to get taken down. It's probably just going to be like my live reaction to me watching the fights and talking with you guys as well in the chat and the stream. That'd be something cool I'm able to do. I'm going to probably flip-flop back and forth between doing live streams, live reactions of fight cards on IG and TikTok. So if you guys want to follow on both, that'd be cool as well, or you can just follow one or the other. But with that being mentioned, now I can dive into my next segment where we are doing 2 giveaways on the channel. So one of the giveaways is going to be this BetMGM hat. I don't know if any of you guys are interested in it. I have no use for it. I have no need for it. I mean, I wouldn't wear it. I don't know if you guys, and plus I'm not corporate. I'm not sponsored by BetMGM at all. I mean, BetMGM, if you want to sponsor me because of this, go right ahead. But I am no way, shape, or form obligated or sponsored by BetMGM to be, rocking branded content like this. So, I mean, and I'm not going to be having it posted up in the backdrop. That's just weird. I'm not full-blown corporate like that. I mean, not yet. So I'm not on that level. If any of you guys are interested and you guys are actually going to rock or wear this hat or have any use of it, I don't know, you guys could do yard work in it. It's one of those, snapback trucker fit hats. It's got the mesh lining in the back. I got this. I won it in a giveaway at the casino that I went to. They do for the big UFC Fight Night events when they host, watch parties at their sports books at my local casino down the street from my house. They do like they do a Plinko board game and they do giveaways. There's different options. It's like a Bud Light NFL t-shirt. I think they're just trying to get rid of old product and inventory in advance for the next season or whatever. So yeah, this is one of the options as part of the giveaway. I'm probably going to give away this at 250 followers or subscribers here on my YouTube channel. So if you guys can help me out and subscribe. And if you have to be a subscriber and either a follower of my Instagram or TikTok, both helps even more in your case. It wouldn't sway in your favor if you do follow both, but if you follow one or the other as well as subscribing, that's how you're eligible and entered into the giveaway. And when you do follow me on both, to show proof, just DM me on either, most likely Instagram, just DM me on Instagram and send a screenshot showing that you're subscribed to both my YouTube channel and follow me on either IG or TikTok. So that'll be announced at 250 subscribers on my YouTube channel here. So hopefully you don't skip through this part. For those of you that are skimming through the, the YouTube or this video, hopefully you don't skip through this and not missing out on key critical information. And then my other piece of the giveaway, we're probably going to do it at 300 subscribers because it makes sense for this. Now, I don't want to unroll it and ruin it. It is a poster. Now, it is a UFC 300 poster. You can't see it in my backdrop, but right here, I'm not even pointing at it, right above, right there, next to my Rams poster that's kind of cut off. This poster right here that's cut off with the gold trimming of the poster frame. That is what the poster looks like. I wish I could kind of show you guys. I'll maybe show you guys in another video. But yeah, this is a UFC 300 poster. Basically, it's like golden and it has 300 in big lettering and then UFC at the top. And then on the bottom, it has the names of all the fighters that fought. The fight date, April 13th, Saturday. And then it has the start time of the fighting card. And then it shows the sponsorships at the bottom, T-Mobile Arena. It's actually a cool little collector's item in piece. So yeah, this is exactly what that poster is. So for the old UFC 300 promotion poster, fight poster, this will be given away as also at 300 subscribers for UFC 300. So if you guys are interested in that, same thing, same rules apply and follow. Have to be a subscriber of the channel and following either my TikTok or Instagram. So yeah, I mean, it's also, I'm not going to lie, it's kind of a basic bland poster, but it's perfect for autographs. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get it framed for y'all. I probably will because it's going to be hard to ship out like a rolled up poster like this. And it's more prone to getting ruined. It's more protected if it's framed. So, I mean, yeah, if you're the winner, I'll frame it for you and I'll ship it out to you in the frame as well. And that's why I say it's a key collector's item is because if you're a big fan, it's perfect for autographs because it has a huge canvas and a lot of empty open space. So if you ever run into the fighters that fought on that card, that event or whatever, I mean, there's a lot of, you could probably get all of them on the posters. So Very, very cool. 2 little giveaways on there. Like I said, I think we're just going to be doing betting picks and predictions for each fight card. I don't think we're going to do like weekly or multi videos a week of like different UFC content or different breakdowns or analysis. Maybe we might do an extra video where we go in depth of like breakdowns or analysis, or after the fights happen, we will probably pick out our fight of the card, do something unique or different like that, and break down the fight like pro fighters do. Mighty Mouse does that on his channel all the time. So that'd be something fun and cool to do. But for the most part, we're probably just going to stick to betting picks and predictions for now. And yeah, enough of me rambling. I kind of talked your guys' ears off and heads off for 10 minutes. Let's dive in to the official UFC Fight Night taking place in Denver fight card. The main event is a women's fight. Namajunas versus Tracy Cortez, the people's favorite, the queen, the beloved. The simps are all over her. They love her for her looks. So yeah, let's dive into the card. All right, so we are here kicking it off in the prelims. This is the fight I was talking about earlier that was brand new. We're kicking it off with Evan Elder and Darrius Flowers. I had no clue how to. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I would probably stay away from this fight for one of two things. One is because my advice is not valuable here, to be honest with you guys, because I'm not handicapping this fight really well. I haven't really looked much of Evan Elder. He seems brand new. I mean, he only has 10 fights underneath his belt. He's 8-2 with an official MMA record. I don't know if he even has an official UFC fight like in his career. Okay, he has 3, and he is 1-2 in his career. And 2 of those losses, one of them is coming by way of unanimous decision. He lost to P. Parsons, not familiar with that name as well. I know Sadikov, he got knocked out, or it was a TKO doctor stoppage. I'm familiar with the Sadikov name. I honestly don't remember that fight, but it came by end of the final round, literally the final seconds of the fight. So, early into the third round. There you go. And then he's most recent fight, he's coming off a unanimous decision victory over Valdez on the Holly Holm fight night not too long ago. So literally this time last year. So he's been off for a year now. He's coming out of Kill Cliff as his team. They're a decent team on and off. 27 years old, fairly young. So he's brand new to the UFC, not the greatest record. He's an up-and-comer, solid MMA record all around, but he just doesn't have the full, complete resume yet to, get a look at him. 4-1 by TKO and then 1 win by sub. So yeah, I mean, he's only been knocked out once. Looks like most of his victories come by way of decision. Darrius Flowers, I am very familiar with the name. I have watched a couple of his fights, his last 3 or 4 fights or so I'm familiar with handicapping him. 12-7-1 record, one of those coming by no contest. Same reach, only a 2-year difference in age. Same height, and obviously they're the same weight class here in the welterweight division at 155. It looks like Evan Elder is putting out a significant strike output with not as much accuracy as Darrius Flowers, but with higher volume, you're going to get a lesser, accuracy percentage-wise. He's pretty good on the ground as far as being active. Evan Elder is. I know he tries to shoot for those takedowns a lot. Like I said, I haven't watched much of his fights, but going off the statistics, and I think I've watched tape on his last 2 fights. Maybe it was 3. I know it's 2 to 3 fights that I've watched tape on it, and he was looking to set up a lot of takedowns, and he's comfortable in the stand-up game. But with a guy like Darrius Flowers, who's older, he doesn't have the greatest record, but he does have double the fights as Evan Elder, so he has a little bit more experience, and he has double the UFC fights than Evan Elder. So he has a little, veteran experience on his side. He knows what to look for, knows what to expect. And Darrius Flowers is very, very polished in exchanging in the stand-up game. He's very, very comfortable in the pocket. That's what worries me about this -425 price line. I can't get behind Evan Elder at a heavy juice favorite. Should he win? Probably. Could he win? Yes, without a doubt. I mean, he is the younger fighter, but not much by a big age gap difference. I mean, Darrius Flowers is still young. They're both under 30. But I just think Darrius Flowers at times can just get frustrated, and he kind of goes away from his game plan of staying in the pocket and just throws wild exchanges of just wild wind up, haymaker punches, and he always tries to reach and chase after that, knockout punch power and get, just go for the fences, swing for the fences and hope for the best. And every time he does that, it just goes against him. And if you have decent wrestling game, you could, basically wrestle and screw Darrius Flowers over into a boring win and decision and just lay on him, because he has decent scrambling ability to get out of stuff, but there's times where he's just lazy and he'll just let you lay on him, and he'll just lay on his back and be like, all right, we're just going to sit here and do this. And it's gotten bad to at times where the judge is like, all right, we're going to stand you up. The other thing I want you guys to keep in the back of your mind and take note is not only after looking at weigh-ins with weight cuts and stuff, because it's going to be a huge factor in this card, but another thing is going to be cardio. I'm going to repeat that. Cardio is a key component and factor on this entire card down. Now, is cardio a key factor and weight cuts and stuff like that and how you look after weigh-ins? 100% for any fight night, any main event fight card, any number card, whatever. It's 100% factored in 100% of the time. But the reason why it's so critical and key for this card is because you're up at altitude, at elevation here in Denver, Colorado, which is known as a Mile High City, obviously. And you're at 5,280 feet, in the air. So a whole mile in the air, which you got to be aware and cautious of that, because that screws a lot of fighters over because of just the cardio and the conditioning. A lot of fighters aren't, conditioning. They're actively training and conditioning to get ready for a fight, but they're not training and conditioning in those circumstances. They're either not fighting out of certain camps or certain teams that are based out of elevated areas, or teams are like not preparing and having the wherewithal and awareness to say, hey, maybe our team and camp fights out of so-and-so city, but for this certain card, we should have our fighter training at altitude elevation. Some people don't do that. They just stick to their roots. They're hard-headed, stubborn, and sometimes that's on the fighter themselves, and sometimes that's on the fighter's camp, and that they get screwed over that way. So I just want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind. That is very critical. So Darrius Flowers, he has decent cardio, but there's times where he just looks sloppy and just looks like an old man that just doesn't want to be there, and he's just there for a paycheck and just wants to get out of there. So Evan Elder would probably be the way to go, but at that price tag, it's probably going to be a pass from me. I would probably say take this fight to go the distance, because Darrius Flowers has a decent chin to hang around and linger around to a decision. And if he does get clipped, he'll find a way to take it to the ground and just either lay on the guy or be laid on, pause, no diddy, and have a boring fight to decision. Evan Elder, I don't really see him having, full-blown knockout power. I would be really shocked if he knocked out Darrius Flowers. But again, I won't put nothing against him with how sloppy he looks cardio-wise, with that altitude getting to him. I'd probably say my official pick in this fight would be the fight to go the distance, but it's probably going to be juiced at like -200, 300 something. If it is lower than that, you're probably going to get in good value. So, if you get below those odds, it's a great parlay piece to add on to your clip. So, or maybe a straight bet. But yeah, this is going to be definitely a pass from me. I just can't get behind that huge favorite price tag on Evan. Next fight, we got Josh Fremd. I don't know how to pronounce that. I'm going to apologize for butchering your name, bro, in case you ever watch this or see this. That's a big pet peeve of mine. I hate when people butcher my name or others' names. I try my best to perfect that. Again, I'm not perfect, though. I'm human. I make mistakes. I'm not an official enunciator, whatever. So, yes, we got Josh. I'm just going to call him Josh. We have him taking on fighting the American, Andre Petroski. Now, I feel like Andre Petroski fight. No, it was a different fighter that looks exactly like him. Andre Petroski coming in at 6 foot. There is a big height a disadvantage, which also is most likely going to lead to a reach disadvantage, which there is a 3-inch reach advantage for Josh here, coming out at 6'4", fighting in at the middleweight 185 division weight class. There is a 3-year age gap in the difference. So with Andre being the older fighter, Andre Petroski is not bad. 10-4 record, but Josh has also got 11-5 record, so also not bad either. Both fairly decent output strikers. They're evenly matched there. I know Andre Petroski tries to wrestle people and take their heads off. I mean, he's very active on the ground and is always actively looking for the takedowns. You can literally see it in the stats right here. But I know from handicapping and watching his last couple of fights, he likes to actively look for the takedowns and fight there and try to find a way to either ground and pound finish or just, either get the submission win or just lay on you to a decision. But I want to keep note. I did found some intriguing information. Josh does train out of Denver, Colorado, so it's in his backyard. So he is used to that elevation, and he is used to having that gas tank. He's trained for it. He's prepared for it. This is where he fights out of. So this is comfortable for him, and he's younger, so he's going to have a little bit more of the gas tank on his side. And I know Andre Petroski is a known gasser. He gets lazy on the feet after round 1 and halfway through round 2. If it's pushing towards the end of round 2, he's burnt toast. And this being a 3-round fight, he can gas out early and either get finished or Josh just pieces him up and just wins in a fantastic way on the card by unanimous decision on this one. I don't know if Andre Petroski could hang around, but because that gas, that gas tank being leaked out is a huge factor in this on me not leaning towards a decision here. But if Josh doesn't have the knockout power to pull it off, then it'll probably be Josh by decision, which is good value to sprinkle on. And he's coming out of Renzo Gracie, Philly. And his last 5 fights in the UFC under Petroski is a whopping 3-2 record. So he does have a winning record, which is not too bad. One of the wins coming by sub, and then 2 by decision. So I mean, he has survived 2 decisions. I mean, he survived a decision against Mearshart, which is surprising because Mearshart has finishing ability, which is shocking. But he has been clipped and knocked out in his last 2 fights. To be fair, one of those is coming by way of Michel Pereira, and Michel Pereira is pretty crazy. That dude is wild. He's absolutely wicked in a nasty fighting style. So I can't even knock him for that. But he's also been knocked out by Malkoun, which is pretty alarming. Jacob Malkoun to be clipped by him. I mean, all right. I mean, it is what it is. So he is 4-3 on TKO and 4-1 by sub. I don't see Josh submitting him. I'd be really shocked if he was able to pull that off. That'd be amazing to see. But I think Josh moneyline. I mean, this is a pick'em fight, which is absolutely shocking to me. I can see based off record by blind betting and off record why it's a true pick'em fight. It makes sense. But when you factor in and handicap a lot of things, Josh should be leaning towards more of the favorited side, probably like a -140, no higher than a -150, because there's just a lot of like hypotheticals and what ifs and that linger in the back of my mind because we just don't know what we're gonna get or who's gonna show up out of Andre Petroski's side. So, I mean, Josh is coming off a TKO loss himself, but again, to be fair, he's been clipped by Roman Kopylov, another great outstanding fighter that can fight wild with that kickboxing style. And Kopylov is one of the top of the weight class, and he's moving on the up and up and could be a title contender soon. You can't knock Josh for that. I mean, Josh 4-2 by TKO. He's also 4-1 by sub, so he can get it done by sub. He did get Cedric Dumas to tap in their fight as well not too long ago last year. I mean, it's almost been a year layover for Josh, so he could come out sloppy too. But maybe this is good for him. Maybe it's a whole entire change and reset for him to get restarted and reacclimated because he is coming in his last 5, 2-3 record in his last 5, not the greatest. So a losing record compared to a winning record. I think that's where the recency bias is coming in for the sports books when they were odds making this because they're seeing a guy with the losing record versus a guy with a winning record, but it's not a big differential. They're kind of like even ground middle. So I could see where they're meeting with a true pick'em in this. So yeah, I mean, he's only had 5 fights in the UFC and he has a losing record there. Anthony Hernandez, that's a tough fight. He's a phenomenal fighter and he lasted to decision there, but that's a tough fight. Trayshawn Gore, not familiar with him, but he got submitted by him. It doesn't look too good. Cedric Dumas is a solid win. Jamie Pickett, iffy win, and then he's got knocked out by Roman Kopylov. So 2 out of his 3 losses were against phenomenal opponents. So up and comers. That's tough to see, but he has been knocked out twice. That lingers there. Andre Petroski knocking him out would be shocking. I could see this fight going. That's why it's true. Not only are the odds 50-50, what's 50-50 for me in handicapping this fight is how it'll end. Either is there going to be a finish or is there going to be decision. Sorry, I brain farted there. But you could say that for any fight. You'd be like, well, Trent, any fight is 50-50 on a decision or finish. But not really, because there's certain fights in the back of your mind, and even the odds makers know, like, we've seen time and time again, minus 250s for a fight not to go to the distance, or so-and-so like plus 100 by finish or plus 100 by knockout, which the odd makers know. I mean, and then again, we've seen time and time again where more likely than it does happen where the fight goes to decision and you get hosed on a juiced prop like that, and the plus money, like a fight to not, or to go to the decision, you'll see like plus 100, 200 on a fight, and it actually happens. So it happens more often than not, actually. So people probably are fraying away from props and finishes like that because they get screwed over time and time again. Either they're parlay busters or they straight bet it and they get hosed. Happened to me before plenty of times. So that's why I'm saying, like, odds wise, there's certain fights where it's like 70% finish, 30% decision. Truly 60-40, but then again, it sometimes does end up going to decision. That's why I'm saying this is a true 50-50 on finish or decision. If I were to go an official play here, and it might make my official card, I don't know yet. I'm still iffy about it. I'm probably gonna take Josh on the money line, just because he's younger. He has the cardio. He has the height and reach advantage. He should find a way to win this if he just can hang on and not get finished, and he can put on a striking performance and be solid on defending the takedowns in the ground. And if Andre Petroski gasses out, Josh very well has a possibility to knock him out. So my official play will be Josh moneyline here. If you want a prop, you may get plus money on it. I mean, actually, you should. It would probably be Josh by TKO or decision. And if you even want to go a step further and sprinkle some on Josh inside the distance by submission or decision, submission or TKO, that'll be another lean as well. That'd be a good one. So Josh Fremd on the money line is the official play there. Next fight, we are moving into the women's flyweight division, which is coming in as way of 125. We got Luana, Santos, and Mariya Agapova coming. I think is at Kazakhstan. I believe that's the same Kazakhstan flag that Shavkat has, so don't mistake me on that or misquote me on that, because I don't know, it looks like she is what Shavkat Rakhmonov is. We do have, like I said, Luana Santos out of Brazil on her end, same height, obviously same weight. We got a 3 inch. I'm sorry if I'm making critical mistakes. This is a lot for the brain to process here. I promise you, I don't have any brain trauma or injuries. I'm not Joe Biden, Sleepy Joe. I'm fully coherent. I can fully articulate my words. I don't have any CTE, or knock on wood, not yet. Hopefully I don't ever have to deal with that. But no, nothing related as that. Maybe it's just like migraine or dehydrated and lack of sleep. My sleep schedule has been, so I apologize. But we have, like I said, Luana Santos, Mariya Agapova, just to reiterate, 3-year age difference. There we go. Sorry. That's what I was trying to get out. Different stance fighting styles here, so this could make for an interesting fight. I believe Evan Elder and Darrius Flowers were different fighting stances, so in fighting styles. That could also make for an interesting fight as well. That's why I was kind of away from Evan Elder. I didn't know what to expect there because of that. But the volume and output that Luana Santos puts at striking is unreal. Unreal in the women's flyweight, and her striking is absolutely beautiful. She reminds me of like a Sean O'Malley type of fighter, and no, I'm not saying she is Sean O'Malley. No way, shape, or form am I comparing her to Sean O'Malley in that aspect. The only aspect I'm comparing her on is her being a true like sniper. She is very patient and picks her shots and picks her poison and chooses when to take certain spots, certain angles. She's very, very comfortable and very, very patient. But when she wants to strike and she feels the moment, the window closing, her volume and output, she just lets it all go into a barrage. Her combinations are phenomenal. They're crazy. From the fights that I have watched, she has a great record at 7-1. Nothing pushed past Mariya Agapova. She is 10-4, but I think that was a padded record from her regionals MMA record, because her UFC record hasn't been too kind of to her as far as I remember. She hasn't had the greatest UFC career. So let me double check on that real quick. Yeah, I mean, in her last 5, she is 2-3, and 3 of them have been by way of finish. So she hasn't been the greatest. I mean, if she was losing by decision and having competitive, close fights, it would be a different story. It would be a whole nother thing. But she's just getting flat out finished, and it's like early finishes too. It's not even like late finishes lingering around. She survives 1 round and she's cooked. Also, I was right. She is out of Kazakhstan. Her nickname is Demon Slayer, so she's probably definitely our favorite anime. MMA Science Academy, not too familiar with that camp or team, so I can't really tell you. Damn, what's crazy is she was born the same year as my brother, and her birthday is 2 days before mine. That's absolutely nutty. Just turned 27, so but I know that's a side note. I thought that was just cool. Anyways, her birthday's a combination of basically me. But she, like I said, 3-1 by TKO, 5-2 by sub. She's been submitted by Morose, Gillian Robertson. I mean, that is her, expertise. So to be fair, Gillian Robertson submitting her is not a knock to her. Again, I'm not knocking to anything on her, but also at the same time, it's like, what are we doing getting submitted and finished by Gillian Robertson? You know what I mean? And then she's been knocked out by Dobson, and her 2 wins is by way of sub. So she likes to be on the ground. She's comfortable on the ground. She can get it done that way on the submission side of things. Yeah, and like I said, she had her stats pretty much stat padded in pre UFC, basically, on her, not preliminaries, what do you call them, regionals. So yeah, I mean, she had a 6-win fight streak, right? I mean, damn, she even beat Liang Na, but Liang Na is a can, dude. I think she finally got cut by the UFC. Maybe not yet. She won in a title fight, knocked her out. Yeah, Liang Na is terrible. She's not cut by the UFC now. I wouldn't be surprised. She's 1-4 in her last 5. 4 of those all by way of straight finishes. Literally been submitted, knocked out, knocked out, knocked out. This girl is just getting clipped left and right. Her chin is just not there anymore. She's only 27 years old. Literally same age as Mariya, which is absolutely crazy. You would think the way she's getting just absolutely dome rocked, she's probably like 30 something plus, 35 plus years old. So, yeah. So, yeah. I mean, oh, and by the way, she back in 2019 on the Contender Series, she lost to Tracy Cortez by decision, which is impressive. But then again, Tracy Cortez was still fairly new and up and coming onto the scene. She didn't have as much experience. Whereas I feel like if she had similar experience as Agapova at that point they met up, Tracy Cortez might have finished her too. So, I mean, yeah, she's literally lost to the girl in Dana White Contender Series who's the main event for this card. I just don't see it for Mariya Agapova, and I can see why the odds are so heavily juiced. I mean, it's crazy that Mariya's fighting style is labeled, maybe ESPN doesn't know what they're talking about. I feel like ESPN is most non-ball knowers when it comes to the fighting scene. They have her fighting style officially labeled as kickboxing, which is weird because I've seen Mariya Agapova constantly on the ground, comfortable on the ground, whether she's scrambling, looking for a finish, or the one getting finished. So you would think she had some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu background, or has her label as her fighting style, or wrestling, or something like that. But nah, it's the stand-up game, which her stand-up game is solid. It's not close to matching Luana Santos, but it's there. It's there. And if she thinks she's going to be comfortable taking Luana Santos down, Luana Santos is the one closing gap, constantly putting you on your back heel, you know, moving backwards, applying pressure, and she's okay with it. I mean, she's super young. Damn, freaking only born in 2000, only 24 years old, 1 year older than me, and again, April baby, close to my birthday. Two April babies going against each other. Not that it matters, but again, she doesn't have much experience in the UFC, which is going against her. Only 2 fights in the UFC, and she is 7-1, so she's 5-1 in her pre-UFC career in her regionals, fighting out of LFA, which is a prominent, well-known global here in the States regional scene. So it's not bad. There's solid fighters that come out of LFA all the time and have solid, decent UFC career, pro careers anywhere else as well. So, I mean, her only loss is by split decision. It's not like she's getting finished. She's the one really doing the finishing. She has 1 win by knockout and 3 by sub. So it's like her volume and striking is so insane, but she has that judo background where she will throw you around like a rag doll. And that's honestly what might happen to Mariya Agapova. Normally, girl fights do end up going the distance. That's why all the time you see like girl fights where the odds are heavily juiced going to the distance, or over 2.5 rounds will be like minus 200 something, 300 something, which is crazy on most books. But I think this is one of the few women's fights where I can see a finish here. Just the way Mariya has been sloppy. She's been finished in, what, 3 out of her last 5 fights. That's happened. She lost, and then she's also the one doing the finishing. I just don't think she's going to finish Luana Santos here. Luana Santos, in my opinion, is a very comfortable parlay piece at the money line with the heavy juice favoritism at minus 400 here. Yeah, I think Luana Santos is going to make my official play. Money line is going to be my safe pick. It's going to be my parlay piece. It's going to be my official pick there. It's Luana Santos side. However, I will sprinkle some on Luana Santos by ITD inside the distance by finish. Submission or TKO. I could see her. Actually, I see her getting the submission here. If you want to sprinkle on the official outcome of the fight, I would lean towards submission. Mariya has an okay, decent chin to be able to eat punches. She's kind of sporadic and kind of crazy. But my worry is if Luana Santos does get her to the ground, that she does get ground and pounded and elbowed in, and we get a doctor stoppage or early stoppage, ground and pound. That's my biggest worry. And the other thing is, we don't know what to expect from Mariya because she is coming off a 2-year layover. She literally has not fought in almost 2 years. So that's another reason why the odds are stacked the way they are. Yeah, Luana Santos money line gonna be my official safe parlay piece play. I'll probably lean Luana Santos ITD, sprinkle some on the submission. Next fight, we got Montel Jackson, Blackshear. This is actually an interesting fight and really caught my eye when this got added to the card earlier in the week. I was like, ooh, this might be one of my favorite fights to watch on this card early on in the prelims because, again, this is another fight where the handicappers and the bookmakers, odds makers, have it at basically a 50-50, slightly leaning towards favoritism on Montel Jackson, and rightfully so. You could see record-wise, it's there. He's got the resume that fits the odds makers' eyes at 13-2. Very solid fighter here. Blackshear is not far off or far away from 14-6 record, and he has won no contest, or I believe it was early stoppage and it was incidental when I last remember. But I mean, both guys they're even all the way around. Blackshear slightly has more striking output, little less accuracy. 3-year age advantage, age gap, age difference, whatever you want to call it, in favor of Blackshear being the younger fighter and under 30. Same weight class, 135 bantamweight division, and same height, so there is no reach of... Oh, actually, what the hell? There's a 3.5-inch reach advantage for Montel Jackson, which is probably why I could see them favoring on the odds makers towards Montel Jackson, because if this is a stand-up game, that reach advantage could keep Blackshear away. But they're also even in the grappling exchanges, in the grappling game, in volume and output, and in the scrambling ability. However, Blackshear is intriguing me on his underdog money line price. I actually really do like his underdog money line price. I have watched his last 3 fights, including his well-known twister submission on Johnson. I mean, that's his highlight right there. They're really showing it right there on the right. But yeah, it was one of, I think, 5 or 3, whatever. It's very rare to win via twister submission, which I don't know if that holds any weight, but it is cool to have. The only thing that worries me about Blackshear is his gas tank. I don't know what to expect with his gas tank because, again, you got to keep in the back of mind the elevation, altitude. He doesn't train there. His gas tank, we haven't really seen it fully exposed yet. At altitude, he has gone the distance in fights or has gone to round 3. So he has experience there. But in deep waters, at elevation, like I said, I just don't know what to expect and how to handicap him there, which is why that could help Montel Jackson if he does gas it out, because then he becomes clippable. But Blackshear is very good at staying away, keeping his chin alive, and not getting clipped. And if he does get clipped, he's very solid defensively of like, okay, he's conscious and aware of like, either scrambling away or taking to the takedown and really being defensive with his hands, and just sprawling and getting away till he can regain his consciousness a little bit. You really have to knock him out and put him out. I mean, he's never been knocked out in his career, never been submitted in his career, so I mean, he's never been finished. His losses all have come by way of decision. So there's that. I mean, he's lost to, I think that's Mario Batista that he's lost, which is a decent fighter. He's a very, very solid fighter. Mario Batista is no slouch. He's very, very good. So that's not a knock on Blackshear at all. And I mean, and his other decision that he lost to was to Farid Basharat, which again, an undefeated fighter who's absolutely phenomenal and flawless, and he's a very, very, very solid fighter. So there's 2 things that there's one thing that's keeping me away from Blackshear, and one thing that's in the back of my mind that is making me like his underdog price. That one of those reasons is because of 2 things, which is his awareness of, okay, I'm screwed here. I'm going to turn into my defensive shell mode on, whether that's wrestling or the stand-up game, which I really like that about him. And the other thing is, you could really argue that he should be 4-1 in his last 5 fights. 3-1 in his last 4. Because one of those unanimous decisions that he got, you could say he easily got robbed, at least should have had a chance at split decision. So, I mean, that's why I'm like, okay, if this goes to decision, maybe they don't screw Blackshear out of this one. Plus him being the younger fighter, that they maybe want to up him a little bit and make him like a gatekeeper, or try and turn him into something in the bantamweight division. Who knows? Both guys, I don't know. I'm not aware of their marketability, so I don't know how the UFC would want to rig that at all. But also, that fight that he fought and got lost by unanimous decision to Mario Batista, he stepped in on short notice, on a week notice. Look at that differential. He literally fought August 12th, the Saturday before, and then the next Saturday said, screw it, I'm stepping in. Took the call and took short notice, and low-key got hoed out of that one. And one of his fights went to draw, so we don't know about that. I mean, Blackshear is just not a bad fighter at all. He's very, very exciting. I'm very, very much looking forward to watching this fight. Montel Jackson, I have watched his last couple of fights. He reminds me, and honestly, this is not a racial thing, but he looks a lot like he could be Randy Brown's twin. And I also love the way Randy Brown fights. He's one of my favorite fighters. Super cool, lengthy, sporadic, wild. He's like Michael Venom Page, but I honestly think Randy Brown might be a little bit better than Michael Venom. I would like to see that fight, so that'd be interesting to watch. We had 13-2 record. This is kind of a little bit stat padded, in my opinion, because he's fought a lot of like hands and nobodies. And the 2 times that he's fought somebody's, he's lost by decision unanimously. And one of them being by Ricky Simon. And Ricky Simon just literally lost to Vinicius Oliveira, and he's also on a losing streak himself. So early on in Ricky Simon's career, was that a good loss, yeah, because it was like, okay, Ricky Simone is one of those guys. Now, as his career continues on, it's looking like a bad loss. But, I mean, it's still a good loss, in my opinion. I mean, he is, he's 8-2 in the UFC. 7 of those by knockout, 1 of those by sub. Both guys' finishing ability will tell you that a lot of people will blindly tell you, like, hey, these guys both have finishing ability, but so probably take under 2.5 rounds, or people are gonna look into ITD props or the fight not go to the distance. I've seen a lot of casuals or non MMA fans and bettors just randomly do that. They either straight bet and throw in their parlay. They just like when they're handicapping or doing their own research, they'll be like, "Oh, these guys both have finishing ability. Someone's going to sleep or someone's getting finished." No, sometimes that's not how it works at all. I mean, 8 of his fights, Montel has won by finish, which he's fought 15 times, so a little bit over half his fights he's won via finish. So it is truly 50% there. Like bringing up earlier when I mentioned that 50% stuff, that is handicapped right there, and it's literally proof. And Blackshear has fought 21 times, and he has 11 finishes. So basically, half of his fights have been by finish. I'm going to take, but if you really look at their track record, a lot of their fights in there have been by decision. I mean, a lot of them. 10 of basically half of Blackshear's fights have been by decision, and half of Montel Jackson's fights have gone to the distance decision. So I would sprinkle some if you can find a way to get decent odds. Hopefully it's not like again like -2 300 like the Evan Elder Darius Flowers fight. But the fight to go to the decision or the distance would be a good parlay piece. Or if you get good enough odds, a straight bet sprinkle. I'm gonna take Blackshear on the money line. I'm gonna take Blackshear by decision as my official play there. I actually like that a lot. I think Blackshear is gonna make my main card. It just worries me because Blackshear does not train at altitude, so I don't know what to expect or what I'm going to get out of him. But if he's decent enough, he's decent enough. So, yeah, I'm going with that one. Taking on to the next fight, we're going back to the women's, but this time to the flyweight division, which is one, or actually, wait, is the other fight flyweight as well? Yeah, excuse me, both flyweight. We are back. There's a lot of women's fights on the card. There's 1, 2, 3. There was 4, but I think they took one of them off. I might be mistaken, but another women's fight here. We got Jasmine Jasudavicius. I terribly apologize if I horribly butchered that name. Jasmine Jasudavicius fighting Fatime Kline. I have absolutely no. This girl doesn't have a picture yet. For the UFC, I really haven't seen much of her fights. This is her first UFC fight. That's why. So I have not much handicap information for you there. No research much on her. Fairly young, 2000 kid, 23 years old, about to turn 24 later this year. Or literally, she turns 24 in 2 days. So that'd be cool if she can get a birthday victory, a birthday win. Literally on Saturday, she will be. Actually, wait, her birthday is that Saturday, right? Yeah. So a birthday win on that night would be cool for her. She is 6-0, 2 of her fights winning by knockout, 1 by sub. So half her fights she has finishing ability, and 2 out of her last 5 fights she did win by knockout. She was flawless in her regionals, coming out of Invicta and then moving to CFFC, and she held the title down there over there. So very interesting to see what we get. I believe Jasmine was completely fighting somebody else. She was not fighting this Fatime Kline girl, which is interesting because the odds have completely changed. Because Jasmine, when her older fight before the other girl called out or dipped or whatever, and they had to get a new opponent on short notice, which happened to be this Fatima girl, whatever how you pronounce it. Jasmine was like -160 favored here to win the fight. Now Jasmine is not bad at all. She's a very, very scrappy girl. I actually like her fighting style. She tries to go for the kill. She's very unique, very different fighting style from what I've seen. But she is one of the girls that have lost to Tracy Cortez. Man, another girl that's lost to Tracy, and that was fairly recently. Yeah, that was the Grasso Shevchenko card. I remember that. I had Tracy Cortez money line. Made me some good money there. I think it was like pick'em odds too, which was crazy. Yeah, she's lost to her and Natalia Silva by decision. So even when she does lose, she lingers and finds a way to hang on and fight towards a decision loss. She has one finish in her last 5, which is by sub. Again, she's 2-0 by KO, 2-0 by sub, but I think she only has one finish in the UFC. Yeah, only one finish in the UFC, so her other finish victories came on her regionals. She came out of CFFC by the same girl, by the way. So I'm probably going to stay away from this fight. I was originally liking Jasmine, but now with a girl on short notice that she has no game plan for, she has never seen before. This girl's brand new. We don't know what to expect. There's a 12-year age gap and age difference, which is huge. Same way, obviously, 125 in the flyweight division, only 1 inch height difference and 1/2 inch of reach, so fairly even top to bottom. And with with Jasmine being 35, that's around the age gap where people just slowly start decreasing in decline because you're just getting up there in age. So we just don't know what to expect there. I have no clue about this new girl. She might be exciting to watch. Maybe the UFC has found something with somebody on the rise that they could promote and bring up. Because she's fairly young. She's flawless. But again, when you're handicapping these fights and you get a newbie like this, time and time again, we've seen it where we get fighters like this. And in the MMA community or fan base, they get what's called fraud checked. So people are like, oh, people hype them up because they're on this big win streak or they're undefeated. And then they get their first loss and people are like, oh, you're fraud checked. So this is a kind of a pick'em fight. The odds are leaning towards Jasmine. That's what I was leaning towards originally on her last old opponent. But I'm going to lean Fatime Kline here. I might sprinkle just for fun on the money line. I don't think she finishes Jasmine. I'd be shocked if she does. I'd probably take Fatime by decision because the reason being is if it does go the distance, I could see, Dana White and the company trying to find a way to pump this girl up. They're like, oh, we need her to win. We need her to be the next big thing. She's undefeated. She's flawless. She's young. We can turn her into a star maybe in the women's division. So they're going to probably try and find a way to rig the cards and get Fatime the win. So I would sprinkle some on the fight to go the distance, but it's probably going to be juice because that's mostly women's fights, how they go. I would take Fatime on the money line and Fatime by decision. Won't make my official card. I'll probably just sprinkle on the fight for funsies just to feel something, but won't make my official card. Next fight, Joshua Van, Charles Johnson. Very interesting fight. I'm just going to let you know straight up right now, this is not going to be much depth in analysis for me. I actually love Joshua Van as a fighter. He's absolutely phenomenal. He's very, very exciting to watch with his finishing ability, and his striking power and his strength is just insanity. It's a beauty to watch. Now, Charles Johnson, I've seen it last couple of his fights. This guy, man, this guy is a roller coaster of emotions literally watching him fight during his fights and record-wise because he's so up and down, you don't know what to expect. 15-6 record, solid record. So much older though. Again, another one of those situations where you have an 11 age gap difference, 11-year difference, which is huge, and he's creeping up towards a mid-30 mark where fighters tend to trickle down and fade. He does have a 4-inch height advantage, which is going to lead to a 5-inch reach advantage, which could pose as a problem for Joshua Van if Charles Johnson can keep his distance. But Charles Johnson, he does have knockout power, but it's not really insanely big power. I mean, he's 6-0 by knockout, 3-0 by sub. So he's never been finished. I mean, all 6 of his losses have been by decision. And I mean, yeah, he's 9-0, perfectly flawless. So this is a step up in competition for Joshua Van, as in terms of like a dangerous opponent. But if we really look at it, Charles Johnson is 2-3 in his last 5 fights. 3 of those, like I said, being by decision, and 2 of those wins being by decision. So he hasn't finished anybody in a while. He hasn't finished anybody in a year, which actually a little bit longer than a year, and it was Jimmy Flick, and I don't even really think Jimmy all that good. So I mean, in his regionals, this is what I'm saying. This is the problem. This is why the UFC is the top company, the best of the best fighters from all around the world, all walks of life, because you get these guys at regionals. Look at this guy. My point proven or point example to be made is that this guy was what, 4 or 5 11-2 in regionals. He comes to the UFC and he is struggling. He is literally 4-4, and he just looks like a regular fighter, regular human being. And he only has one finish in the UFC. And again, Jimmy Flick, all his fights have gone to decision. So he's got to be careful here. He's never been finished before, but Joshua Van has the ability to be the first opponent of his to finish him because, like I said, he's starting to creep up in that age range where your chin starts to leave you. And once your chin starts to leave you and go, you just get clipped at free will and finished at free will. Different fighting styles, orthodox matching up with a switch style stance, which could also pose a threat for Joshua Van being difficult. But look at the output and volume that Joshua Van just puts on his opponents with his striking, and look at his takedown accuracy and his takedown output compared to Charles Johnson. He's comfortable and he's an aggressive wrestler. He's just so strong on the ground. He will just take you down and manhandle you. He's strong on the ground and just strong in his punches. Like, again, a freestyle fighter. He just wants to bully you. He's just like a little scrappy honey badger and just wants to get in your face and just like a drill and just destroy you, pound you. Pause, no diddy. But yeah, I mean, 6 wins by knockout, 2-1 by sub. That's literally his only loss. He's been finished and submitted, and that was early on in his career in Fury FC. But one of the up-and-comers that the UFC, the company, is trying to pump and dump and build up. This guy is literally younger than me, which is absolutely crazy. Think about. But he's going to turn 23 my age later this year. And this guy, in October, but this guy, man, he is just a beauty to watch. He has 1 knockout, and it's literally his last fight, and then he's won by decision his 2 fights before that. So 1 finish in the UFC, 2 by decision, the distance. So that tells me this fight will probably most likely go to the distance again, which sucks. I know people want to watch fights and they expect finishes, but honestly, this whole entire prelim card might literally go the distance, if I'm being honest with you. It's just hard, though, because, like I said, we don't know what to expect with the high altitude and with the elevation. You could get finishes by knockout, but with a lot of these fighting styles and a lot of these matchups, it's going to be very hard and difficult to prove that. But I would sprinkle some on Joshua Van by knockout. It's going to be tough to submit him because of that lengthiness. He can easily scramble away from Joshua Van. So I wouldn't look towards the submission. If you want to sprinkle some on ITD, it won't be my official play. But yeah, I would say sprinkle some on Joshua Van, ITD. Sprinkle some on a small unit size on Joshua Van by knockout, because I think this is where Charles Johnson can and will get clipped. My official play will probably be Joshua Van moneyline. It's going to be my safest play on the entire card. Actually, one of my favorite plays. It's going to be in all my parlays. And I will be taking Joshua Van by decision as my official, sprinkle prop play. So yeah, I like Joshua Van a lot. And that's going to be my last final pick to round out the prelims. Next fight, we got Abdul Razak Alhassan. Hopefully I pronounced that right. I think I pronounced that phenomenal. God damn, this guy just looks absolute tank by his profile picture. He just looks insane. And he looks young for his age. So to be 38 is absolutely shocking. He's fighting Cody Brundage. Now, this fight is definitely interesting. 38 years old, and for him to be that old and me never heard of this guy, which is absolutely... Actually, wait, I have heard of this guy. Okay, I apologize. I've seen this guy fight before. Okay. Yep, I've seen him fight Joe Pyfer. Okay. Yeah, I'm familiar with him. Joaquin Buckley's fight. For a second there, I was like, Chaos Williams has knocked him out. One by knockout on Claudio Ribeiro. Submitted by Joe Pyfer, and then decision by Joe Buckley. So, I mean, he has lost to some notable opponents. He's had a somewhat lengthy UFC career. Only 18 fights on his resume. 12-6. All 12 of his wins are by knockout, which is absolutely insane. So it's like he's either knocking you out or he's done. He's either losing by decision or getting finished. But he's only lost 2 times. One by knockout, one by submission. So he's only been finished twice. The rest by decision. And he's the favorite in this fight, which is absolutely interesting to me because I don't know. Cody Brundage is 30. He's fairly younger, an 8-year age difference, same reach advantage, 2-pound difference, but they are in the middleweight class at 185. And Cody Brundage is only like an inch or two taller, so but still has like lesser reach, which is crazy. Cody Brundage, he's not known for his striking. He wants to take you on the ground, lay on you like a polar bear, wrestle you to death. And that is Abdul's weakness, is being on the ground. He's not comfortable. He wants to stand up and absolutely clip you and knock you out. I can just tell by the way this dude looks, how much he built up a tank, that he wants to just absolutely knock you out. So going back to the key factor of the altitude and elevation that I was bringing up earlier, this is where it comes into effect here. And Cody Brundage might be a live dog because Cody Brundage trains in Denver, Colorado as well, I believe, or Utah or something like that. I know he trains at altitude. That's where his camp and fight team is out of. So he is very comfortable with this. Oh yeah, Factory X Muay Thai is in Denver, Colorado. So this guy is very comfortable with fighting at elevation. He has the gas tank to let himself go. He's a wrestler. That's what he's known for. And he survived long enough. He had sprawls against Bo Nickel, but Bo Nickel is Bo Nickel. That's his cup of tea. He finished him. He submitted him. I remember that fight too. That was literally, that was UFC 300, which is crazy, not too long ago. So I think Cody Brundage, I mean, he's 2-3 in his last 5. Not the greatest in his last 5 record resume in the UFC. 3-2 by sub, 5-2 by knockout. So he's been finished 4 times. He's lost 2 by decision, 10-6. So Cedric Dumas beat him. He knocked out Zachary Reese, which is crazy. He won by DQ against Malkoun Vieira. He got submitted by, Rodolfo Vieira, which is crazy. Michel Alejusek knocked him out. That's Alejusek. That's anybody's getting knocked out there. Yeah, he's not really knocking out people like that. He has the ability to, but that's just not his cup of tea. I would take, like I said, with that elevation altitude coming into play and him being comfortable with it, and with what's his name being 38 years old, if he doesn't absolutely clip or knock out Cody Brundage, he's going to have a hard time on the ground and just get absolutely mauled. And Cody Brundage could just wrestle, dominate his way to a decision victory, and maybe even get a submission here. So I'm going to sprinkle on the live dog here in Cody Brundage. I can't believe I say it. I'm probably going to stay away from this fight just because I don't have much handicap on Abdul. And it just seems based off his resume that this guy is just knockout or done. Knockout or losing. And is Cody Brundage knockoutable? Absolutely, 100%. He literally looks knockoutable in his page, in his profile picture. But I think he's aware of the knockout power that Abdul possesses. He's going to not let that happen. And hopefully his team is smart enough to not let that happen. And I think he's going to bounce back for revenge after coming off a loss. Again, younger fighter. I don't understand why Abdul is favored here. I guess the books are seeing something that I don't, which is pretty interesting. But yeah, this honestly should be a true pick'em. And I think I'm going to take Cody Brundage money line. I'm going to take Cody Brundage by decision or submission as my official prop play. And I'll sprinkle a small unit size on both decision and sprinkle another small unit size on submission. But yeah, Cody Brundage, it won't make my official card, but that'll be my official play here for the video. But yeah, other than that, it'll be a stay away fight for me. Next fight, Julian Erosa fighting Christian Rodriguez. Don't have to go much into detail. I love Christian Rodriguez a lot. I love him a lot. 11-1 record, a phenomenal record. Julian Erosa, an insane resume, dude. He's fought a lot and for a long time, 34 years old, with 41 fights under his belt, which is absolutely crazy. 29-12 record. Christian Rodriguez is one of those up-and-comers right now, prospects that is just absolutely crazy, absolutely phenomenal. Beautiful fighter. He's very polished, very high IQ. He's not dumb at all. He doesn't go in there sporadic. He's very poised and calm and patient and picks his spots. And he's really well-rounded on the ground, which is crazy. Another freestyle fighter who's comfortable on both sides. His one loss is to Jonathan Pierce by decision, which is an okay loss. Not a bad loss. That was early on into his UFC career, so literally his first fight of his UFC career. But if they rematch now, Christian Rodriguez would absolutely dominate him. and that's literally his only loss. Was flawless in his preliminaries, his regionals, won his contender series fight against Reyes Cortez Jr. and he's beaten Raul Rosas. Oh yeah, that's right. He's the one that beat Raul Rosas by decision and handed Raul Rosas his first L. So yeah, Isaac Dogarian, solid win, and he's beaten Cameron Simon. That's a phenomenal win to put on your resume there by decision. So I mean, this guy has finishing ability. 7 of his fights out of 12 of them, so more than half of his fights have been by way of finish. But I think Julian Erosa, dude, I'm telling you, this whole entire card literally might go the distance. It's crazy. He's a younger fighter at 26, same weight class as the featherweight 145-pound division, but there is a huge height disadvantage in favor of Julian Erosa and hurts Christian Rodriguez, about a 4 or 5 inch, difference, and a 3-inch difference on the reach, and opposite fighting styles on the stance when standing up. The output that Julian Erosa puts out in striking is insane, like the volume. But the reason why Christian Rodriguez has less volume is because he's more active on the ground as well. And I mean, Julian Erosa can match his ground ability, his takedown ability. He has decent defense, but I think Christian Rodriguez is way more stronger than Julian Erosa. So I think he can score a takedown or two maybe, and that'll help him in favor of the scorecards if this does go to the distance, and probably win by decision. And Julian Erosa, again, he's reaching that age range into the mid-30s where guys start to tinker off. And I mean, he's already tinkered off. He has literally 12 losses. He has more losses than Christian Rodriguez does wins. So, I mean, Julian Erosa could be on his way out of, the company, out of the UFC. They don't really want nothing to do with them. So if this really does go to the distance and decision, I don't see why Dana White doesn't try to sway the judges or rig it to have Christian Rodriguez be one of his new up-and-comers, one of his new, people to pump up in the featherweight division weight class, the 145 division, and to help promote the company and have him be the next big thing, star maybe. I don't know his marketability just yet because, I mean, he's still fresh and new. But yeah, Julian Erosa, I mean, he's no slouch. Again, with his veteranship, he is a step up in competition in Christian Rodriguez. But I would say Cameron Simon is way better than this guy, and Christian Rodriguez beat him. So in a lot of his fights, Julian Erosa, his victories, I mean, he's 3-2 in his last 5. And, I mean, he's gotten knocked out by Alex Caceres. But to be fair, Alex Caceres can literally knock out anybody. This guy is crazy. When he puts you out, he puts you out. And he's been knocked out by Padilla, too, which is like, okay. I mean, Fernando Padilla is pretty solid, too. So this guy is finishable. He's clippable. His chin is not there anymore. He's 11-8 in terms of knockout. Being knocked out 8 times is absolutely crazy. But he's 13-0 by way of sub, so he's pretty flawless on the ground, which is weird because his ground game is solid, but he's a known striker. But this guy is the one getting clipped, so I just don't understand ESPN sometimes when they're labeling these guys' fighting style. Sometimes they should just not put anything at all. But I like Christian Rodriguez a lot. He's going to be my official pick money line. He's going to be my safe pick for all my parlays. Christian Rodriguez is going to be in all of them. I think he has a solid gas tank. Him being the younger guy puts him at favor because when you're older, I mean, you can train all you want, but once you get up there in age, your gas tank can only last so much. And Christian Rodriguez, man, he's just something else. I like Christian Rodriguez by way of decision. I think Julian Erosa could hopefully survive long enough to get it there and get to the distance. And I think with his length and it can keep Christian Rodriguez away and keep him guessing, which could help him, not let Christian Rodriguez close the distance. Because I'm gonna tell you right now, if Christian Rodriguez closes the distance on this Julian Erosa guy, lights out. He's getting clipped. He's getting knocked out without a doubt. That's why I will sprinkle some on Christian Rodriguez by knockout. I might sprinkle some on Christian Rodriguez ITD. But if Christian Rodriguez does win this inside the distance, it's in favor of him winning by knockout. No doubt about it. I know Julian Erosa is solid in defending the takedown on the ground. And I don't think Christian Rodriguez actively tries to go for takedowns and wrestles. But if he really wanted to take down Julian Erosa, he could. He's stronger than him, 100%. 100% stronger than him. But I think where Christian Rodriguez's power lies, his power is possessed in his striking ability and his punching, even though they have Julian Erosa labeled as a striker, which is crazy. I think he can clip Julian Erosa and knock him out. I wouldn't be surprised with the altitude. But yeah, I would take Christian Rodriguez money line in all your parlays. He's a safe pick. I will take Christian Rodriguez, sprinkle on the knockout, sprinkle on ITD, Christian Rodriguez by knockout or decision, and then sprinkle some on Christian Rodriguez by decision. You're going to be profitable on just that fight alone if you sprinkle on all of those. But yeah, Christian Rodriguez will be my official pick and play there. Next fight, we are moving on. We are coming down to the home stretch here, the last 4 fights. We got Gabriel Bonfim and Ange Loosa. When I saw this fight, this is one of the fights that, the 7 fights I mentioned earlier that made the official card like super early on in weeks in advance. And it actually caught my eye, which is interesting. And Gabriel Bonfim's odds was minus 400 at one point, and it slowly has crept its way down to minus 340 on some books. And this being the ESPN website, this is going to be ESPN bets odds. But yeah, it slowly has crept its way down with Gabriel Bonfim, coming down back to earth a little bit. He does have a 2-inch or 1 or 2 inch height, reach or inch advantage. And then same weight class, welterweight 170 division. And Ange Loosa has the 1.5 reach advantage, which is weird being the smaller guy, but he's creeping into his early 30s, 31 years old. Gabriel Bonfim is still in his prime, 26 years old. Again, one of those guys that was phenomenal. He was like 14-0 or whatever at some point, undefeated. And then he just caught his first L in his last fight to Nicholas Dalby. And everyone was on his ass saying he was fraud checked or whatever. So, I mean, it happens. It happens to the best people. You're eventually going to get your first loss eventually. It's a matter of if or when. No one's going to stay undefeated forever. And here come Khabib fans in the chat saying, we're 30-0 Khabib. Yeah, dude fought nobody. He's literal trash cans, bro. But yeah, Nicholas Dalby is no slouch. So it's not a bad loss. Nicholas Dalby has a solid record, solid resume. He has knockout power. So it's nothing against Gabriel Bonfim. And you live and you learn early on in your career, man, that you have to have those moments. You have to have those losses to build your character and to make you a better fighter. So that does worry me, though, because that lets me know that Gabriel Bonfim chin is chinnable. It is chinnable. And Ange Loosa is a guy with a solid record himself, coming at 10-3. And he has a couple wins by way of knockout. And he does have knockout power. He swings big, he swings hard, he has good knockout punch power, which kind of scares me with Gabriel Bonfim, because if he thinks he's going to stand and bang with this guy, that's a mistake. I think his strength lies on the ground, again, which is boring, which is by submission, finishing him on the ground. Ange Loosa, that's definitely his weakness in his fight game is the ground game. He's not really that much great at it at all. He's a kickboxer at heart, well known for that. So he wants to stand up with you. And I mean, if you look at Gabriel Bonfim's resume, I mean, look at all his fights. 12-0 by sub. Literally a huge chunk of his wins, a huge fraction of his wins are by sub on the ground. He's phenomenal. He's flawless on the ground. And when he gets you to the ground, you're pretty much burnt toast. You're finished. You're done. He gets you quick and out of the way early and done. His Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is a sight to behold. He has one of the more phenomenal, flawless Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ground game that I have ever seen in a while. So yeah, if he takes you to the ground, he's getting you done and out the way early and quick. He's going to finish you quick, like in the first round. I mean, literally before he got knocked out, his last 4 fights, and I'll have you know, he was putting people away so quick and so fast in the first round that he was never fighting past the first round. And for a majority and most of his career, he never really been past the first round that much. So when he got into deep waters, Nicholas Dalby took advantage and clipped him, which worries me, because if he can't put away, that's the other thing that I was mentioning is with the high altitude, circulating back to that, the altitude plays a huge effect here, being here in Denver, is because Gabriel Bonfim does not have the greatest gas tank at all whatsoever. He gasses out very quick after the first round. Like I said, he's burnt toast. He's never been into deep waters before. And if you go to deep waters here with Ange Loosa, in high altitude elevation, he's bound to get clipped again. And once you get clipped or knocked out or finished like that, it changes you as a fighter. You're very conscious, you're very aware, you're very shy, you're very, timid. because you don't want that to happen again. Once you've had that feeling happen to you, you're like, I don't like how this feels. I don't want this happening again. So it can screw you up psychologically to where it messes up your fighting style in your future fights and could affect your career, because if you're always worried about that, you don't have the confidence or swagger to do your, have your fighting style or have your fighting game go the way it goes. So I would take Gabriel Bonfim early on in this fight. Probably round 1 submission is probably what I'll lay on. If he is not, or if he doesn't finish him in the first round, like I said, and get him out the way, and this goes past the first round, Ange Loosa will become a live dog. I am telling you, I repeat, Ange Loosa will become a live dog and will win by knockout in the later rounds. But if Ange Loosa can't knock him out in the later rounds and clip on Gabriel Bonfim, then Gabriel Bonfim is just going to wrestle him to the ground, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu him to the ground, and win by a boring decision. So, I mean, Ange Loosa, I literally watched his last fight against Bryan Battle, and that fight pissed me off. And I'm a big Bryan Battle fan. I love Bryan Battle so much. I love his shit talking, his fighting style, his craziness. He's just wicked with it. His, kickboxing, his length, his everything. Pause, no diddy. But yeah, no contest in the last fight. I remember I was hyped to watch that fight on that card. It was a fight night. It was that Tai Tuivasa, Tybura, and I think that's the one Tai Tuivasa got submitted at the UFC Apex. It was another fight night card. And he didn't even poke Ange Loosa in the eye, and Ange Loosa copped out and found a way out to get out of that fight, and they ruled it a no contest. And then Ange Loosa was talking shit afterwards, and it led to that whole altercation after the fight. And Bryan Battle was piecing him up and working him. And Ange Loosa was talking a lot of shit before the fight, saying he was the better kickboxer, he was this, he was that, and he was ready to go and going to whoop his ass. And then because he was getting pieced up in that first round, he copped the way out. It was a coward move. I was pissed. I had Bryan Battle money line on my parlays, and it voided, and it brought my payout down. I was so mad. But yeah, 5-0 by knockout, 1 by sub, Ange Loosa. So like I said, he's really not known for his ground game. He's gotten a sub though, but that was in his prelim regionals. 10-3 record though. He's lost to Lazez, literally his first UFC fight ever. He lost by decision. And then Jack Della Maddalena in the Dana White Contender Series, he got taken to decision there by JDM, and which is impressive there. That's a hard guy to fight. Get to decision there. I mean, 3 of his fights, he's never been finished. 3 of his fights have been by way of decision. So Ange Loosa is no slouch. He's very, very good, very, very polished, and not a bad fighter at all. Very, very good guy. He had a big win streak before he lost, and then he won, lost, and then he got back on a win streak before the no contest. So he was alternating. He was on, off there. I'm just scared to tail Gabriel Bonfim at such a heavy juiced odds price. Will he be my official play? Maybe. I'll probably lean towards this will probably be another stay away fight for me, because Gabriel Bonfim, with his gas tank, you don't know what to expect, and if he doesn't get that finish early on, just you're burnt toast. You're screwed here. So I would probably stay away. I just can't get behind laying that heavy juice on Gabriel Bonfim at all. Not even in a parlay, because he could easily be a parlay buster here. I just think with the younger age, that could help him, but not really, to be honest with you, because, I mean, Ange Loosa's gas tank hasn't been really tested either. I don't know what he's going to be like at elevation. If I were to take anything in here as an official prop to sprinkle on, I would say Ange Loosa's a live dog. I would look at his money line. I would look at Ange Loosa by knockout in rounds 2 or 3 later on the fight. If he doesn't knock him out, though, then and gets wrestled on, I would probably take Gabriel Bonfim by decision. If Ange Loosa can survive the deep waters that Gabriel Bonfim has for him. But yeah, other than that, this will probably be an official stay away spot for me. I'm very interested and eager to watch that fight, because this is one of my favorite fights, one of the favorite fights on my card that caught my eye and intrigued me, that I really wanted to watch. So yeah, official play. Non-official play would lean towards Gabriel Bonfim. Next fight, we got Drew Dober, Gene Silva. Drew Dober coming off like I think a mini win streak himself. I know he's coming off a win. We had that crazy. Was it him that had that crazy, post-fight interview? He was like saying some racist shit or something like that. It was something wild to see. I couldn't believe it. He's literally knocked out Bobby Green, which was crazy, but then goes and gets clipped by, Frivola, but not a bad knockout, but it also is a bad knockout because Frivola, he's he's either getting clipped or he's the one doing the clipping. And Drew, I just don't have much respect for Drew Dober. He's just not high radar guy, not somebody guy that catches my eye. I mean, he's okay. He's whatever. I'm not a big fan of his. I really don't think much of him. His last fight, he lost to Renato Moicano. Shout out Moicano. Show me the money. He lost to him by decision, and that was his last fight. Like Moicano says, I cannot afford to lose my brother. I mean, Gene Silva stepping out on short notice. He literally fought 2 weeks ago at UFC 303, and he's coming in off a victory, and Gene Silva was a pick'em there. I think he was a dog, and he didn't make weight. He was a dog, and I took him. It was the easiest dog pick of my life on my UFC 303 video that I literally just dropped. So I had Gene Silva in there. I hit on that. He is the younger fighter, 8-year age difference, 27 to 35. Same reach, basically 1 inch difference. There's a huge weight disadvantage here because Gene Silva can't make weight. It's labeled as an official lightweight fight, which is 155. They're saying it is a lightweight fight. It's not catch weight or anything like that. So yeah, 147. He normally fights at 145, but he was 2 pounds overweight on his last fight. So he's still labeled that as that from UFC 303. So maybe if they allow him to go back up to 155, Gene Silva can get some power behind him. He's not going to have to dehydrate or cut weight as much for himself, which also plays in his favor and advantage. I just don't understand why this is a pick'em. Maybe it's because Gene Silva stepping on short notice. But Gene Silva wouldn't step in on short notice if he didn't think he could win or take this fight. And this fight is very, very winnable. I mean, easily winnable against a guy like Drew Dober. Again, another guy that's in his mid-30s and has a wild record. 27 and 13, so he is beatable. He is finishable. Definitely clippable. We've seen that. I mean, Drew Dober, like I said, 3-2 in his last 5, and 4 of those have been by way or knockout. So if he's going down swinging. He wants to stand and bang. He's not really much of the wrestler type of guy. Alternate, fighting stances, fighting styles. Gene Silva is an all-around polished fighter. 13-2 record, phenomenal record. I think Drew Dober's on his way out. It's time for him to get going a little bit. I think the company kind of want to push him out. So if this does even end up going the distance, which I highly doubt, the company is not going to want him to win. But then again, the company is on edge right now with Gene Silva because they're very harsh on people not making weight. It's very frowned upon in the combat world, in the fighting sports. And it's a very, very bad thing when you don't make weight, and it can piss off a lot of the company. It's just a bad thing. So they could also rig it in favor of Drew Dober because maybe they're still mad and upset at Gene Silva. But I think they're past that now. They moved on. Also, he's fighting out of Fighting Nerds, which is an insane team, an insane camp. Fighting Nerds has an insane roster of fighters fighting out of there. So they're very high IQ, very technical fighters. Hence the name. That's really why they have their name, is because they study and study and study. They watch a lot of film on fighting and their opponents. So they're very, very polished. They're very, very poised. They're very, very patient and comfortable. So, yeah, I mean, Gene Silva, money line, run it back, is going to be in all my parlays. He's a very safe parlay piece. Honestly, he should be a little bit more favored. He should be like minus 150, minus 160. But this is really because short notice. We don't know what the weight's looking like. Drew Dober is not all that. I mean, he's not that good. This fight is not going the distance. Someone is getting finished here, and it's most likely going to be Drew Dober. I would take Gene Silva ITD. You could probably get plus money. I will take Gene Silva by knockout. Drew Dober is very chinnable, knockoutable, and Gene Silva has the power to knock somebody out. So Gene Silva by knockout. 2 of his last 3 fights are by knockout, and that was his. I mean, he's undefeated in the UFC so far, 3-0. He literally knocked somebody out in their retirement fight. He's coming out of some weird regionals that I never heard of. So, and then 2 of Gene Silva's losses have been by decision. So he's never been finished. 10 knockout wins, 2 by sub. So yeah, Gene Silva by knockout. Run it back. Money line by knockout. Gene Silva by knockout or decision. Gene Silva ITD. Put it in your parlays. That's where I lean. That's where I'm going. Gene Silva all day long. That's going to be my official play too. Next fight. Santiago Ponzinibbio. Hopefully I pronounced that right and not butcher that. And Muslim Salikov. Dude, this dude's literal name is Muslim, which is crazy. 1 inch reach or height advantage for Santiago fighting out of, I think that's Argentina. I can't tell by the flag. I can't make that. I think that's Argentina for sure though. 170 welterweight division. Man, this is looking like a retirement fight here, boys. I mean, both guys have quite the resume. A lot of fights underneath their belt. 24 for Muslim, 37 for Santiago. They are up there in age. Let me tell you that. Muslim is 40 years old, dude. My God. And he's still lingering, hanging around, still kicking it, still trying to fight, make a quick buck. Must not have the greatest financials to be doing this, but and then Santiago is 37. He's not far behind. So both guys are doing like a retirement home fight here, I guess. Both same fighting stances. But Santiago does have that 3-inch reach advantage, which will play into his favor. When I was looking at this fight, I honestly thought in advance, like early on, like weeks back when this made the card, I thought this was a true 50-50 pick'em. That's why the odds kind of like worried me a little bit. I was like, man, that makes no sense. They both have even striking output and volume. Muslim's a way more accurate guy, which makes him more deadly because when he lands, he can land. And Muslim's way, way, way better on the ground, way more polished. Dagestani Russian fighter, so that's part of his DNA. But he's one of the few Dagestani fighters that will throw down and scrap, but is very chinnable at that age. So, I mean, Santiago only 2-3 in his last 5. He's been knocked out, I mean, by Kevin Holland. Oh, that was last year on my birthday. That was a Pereira when Izzy knocked him out, yeah. That card. Then he's won by knockout, lost 2 by decision, again to Michel Pereira. I mean, he gave Michel Pereira a fight, which is impressive for how good he is. Geoff Neal, he gave him a fight, or Jeff Neal gave him a fight, which is impressive for how deadly he is. So that's a good loss. And then he won by decision. So, I mean, 30-7, still a phenomenal flawless record. He's been knocked out 4 times in his career, never been subbed. So he has been finished, but he's more likely doing the finishing than he is getting finished. 16 out of 20 of his fights, you know, he's TKO'd somebody before getting TKO'd. I mean, he got flipped by Leach, which is crazy. He's knocked out Neil Magny, which is wild. Gunnar Nelson, I mean, that's kind of a botch win. He's knocked out some cans. And Lorenz Larkin, knocked out by him. I mean, he's beaten Sean Strickland, which is crazy early on in Sean Strickland's career, which is nuts. See where Sean Strickland's at now and turned out the way he is, how far he's come and where he's been. But again, I think that was Sean Strickland at his younger weight or lower weights. But yeah, I mean, he's literally beat Sean Strickland, so which is phenomenal win on his resume up to this point, and lost the decision there. So I mean, coming into the UFC, he literally only lost 1 fight, which is crazy. He was one of those up and comers, which was like nuts. But ever since then, in his last 5-7 fights, whatever, hasn't been there, man. The UFC hasn't been kind to him. He's 2-4 in his last 6. That's rough. That is rough. So, I mean, with the younger age, I don't know what his gas tank looks like at all for either of these guys. Actually, I do know Muslim's gas tank is absolutely awful. It's horrible because he tries to wrestle the hell out of you. At times, when his striking isn't going his way, he'll ban into the wrestling game. And he exerts and exudes a lot of energy on the ground, which is like terrible because if you can get sprawl and get away and get back up to the feet and have him expose himself by draining himself of the energy on the ground, he's 100% getting knocked out. He's 100% chinnable and clippable. And at this altitude, where I know his gas tank is gonna be horrible, he already doesn't have the greatest gas tank. He gasses out pretty well at this age. And him being at altitude is going to be even worse for him. I mean, he's knocked out by Randy Brown. Decision by Dalby, who he couldn't got knocked out by 2. He knocked out Andre Fialho, but nowadays anybody knocks him out, he's a trash can. And he got knocked out by Leach. I mean, 3 out of his last 4 fights he's been finished. 3 out of his last 4 fights have ended in a finish, which was way by knockout. And 2 of those 3, he was the one getting knocked out. The other couple fights, he's decision. So this fight ain't going the distance, bruh. It is not. I will be absolutely shocked if it goes the distance. If you can get goods on that, I would sprinkle on that. Maybe under 2.5 rounds. Maybe Santiago can find a way to get him out of there early. But who knows? With both guys being so old and terrible gas tanks. They don't have the energy to put each other away. But then again, that goes in that favor. But yeah, also like now that I look at it, I think Santiago is rightfully handicapped, and his odds are right. I would lean Santiago here. That's what I was leaning towards anyways early on when I saw the fight. Muslim scares me because you just don't know what you're going to get from him, expect from him at any given time. Again, one of those true fighters that, again, him and Santiago, their last 5-6 fights have dipped off. In 3 out of your last 5, you lost. And before that, you were looking phenomenal, like untouchable in the UFC. Had a big win streak in your prelim regionals. You were just flawless, phenomenal fighter. Big win streaks there. And recently, his career has just been gone up and down. I think they're both on the way out. I mean, I think Santiago by knockout would be a good look. Santiago inside the distance. Santiago money line will be the way to play here on all your parlays. Parlay piece, I'm playing it safe with Santiago on the money line here. It just worries me because, again, Muslim's such a wild card. He could be a parlay buster. At first, I wanted to stay away from this officially and just enjoy the fight because it's interesting. But yeah, I think I'm going to lay it here with Santiago money line, Santiago ITD, Santiago by knockout. I just don't see Muslim lasting to this. And here we are. We have finally, through all my rambling and madness, we have made it to the official last fight of the night. This is the main event, which should be intriguing and interesting to watch because this is a whole brand new fight. So the fight that was originally supposed to be called for this was Rose Namajunas and Maycee Barber. But up until a week or so ago, maybe I think a week and a half, 2 weeks now, Maycee Barber was officially ruled out with injury. We don't know what the official injury was. I'm told it was like a wrist or like a leg or something like that. I don't think she broke anything or fractured anything. I wasn't thinking anything serious or major. I think they were just, her team and her camp was taking major precautions because if you come in injured in a fight against a girl like Rose Namajunas, who's no slouch, they pick you apart and take care of you pretty quickly and easily. I just think her team was just trying to be cautious to not get her more seriously injured, to trying to fight through that injury against someone dangerous like Rose. And then also I think that Maycee, if she were to lose to Rose, I don't think the team or anybody wanted to use against her that, oh, Maycee was injured, that's why she lost, that's why that happened. I don't think they wanted to use that as an excuse. So it was better off for Maycee to just step aside and just come back stronger at full strength. But yeah, Tracy Cortez officially steps in on short notice. She was due for a different fight. I think on a different card, she was fighting Miranda Maverick. Don't quote me on that, but I think she was supposed to fight Miranda Maverick like in a month. Later on, after this fight, it was like a month and a half or a month later on a different card. But now Miranda Maverick probably has a new opponent for that card, or that fight just got completely trashed or washed. And Tracy Cortez said, F it, screw it. This is my opportunity. This is my golden moment, time to shine, to take advantage of it. And let's see where it takes me. This is a step up in competition by far for her. This is going to be the toughest and hardest opponent that, she's ever faced in her young MMA career. I mean, she's 30, but it's still only 12 fights to her name. Still a fairly young career, barely getting started in the game, fairly brand new, always constantly improving, always constantly learning. So this is a huge chance, huge opportunity for Tracy Cortez to take advantage of this short notice step in. And again, Tracy Cortez is probably, a lot of these fighters, they're not taking these short notice fights if they don't think they can win. Like, the only way these fighters take short notice fights is if they're up there in their career and they're just chasing a bag and trying to collect every check they can before they're done. So I don't see that as the case, obviously, here for Tracy Cortez. And I'm kind of baffled by the odds, the odds that the odds makers have placed for this fight. When it came out, I was truly shocked. I was expecting more so like minus 160, minus 170 Rose, and then like a slight underdog to Tracy Cortez. And this is why it shocked me, because Maycee Barber was minus 160. She was minus 135, no higher than minus 150 at one point against Rose, right? And I mean, Tracy Cortez is not bad either. No slouch. 11-1. To be fair, her wins have been against cans, but it's still an impressive record nonetheless. And this is what was coming back to, because eventually, sometime down the road, Tracy Cortez and Maycee Barber are eventually going to have to fight each other one way or another. Some way down the road in their careers, in their paths, they're going to have to fight, whether it's for a title maybe one day, because, I mean, Tracy Cortez is a title contender eventually soon. So is Maycee Barber. Maybe they both have a fight for that spot. And you know, this is how I'm looking at mathematically, and this may not make sense or might not be like the sharp way, the best way to look at it. But Tracy Cortez is the major underdog here, and Maycee Barber was the favorite. And in my opinion, on the eye test, I think Tracy Cortez and Maycee Barber, fighting style wise, record wise, resume wise, are evenly matched. I think they're about as even as close as you can get as a true pick'em odds. I would still slightly lean Maycee Barber like -120, maybe like -115 to Tracy plus 100 -105. So that tells me if Tracy Cortez and Maycee Barber fought, Maycee Barber would be like -300 on the money line, which is absolutely crazy for how close in comparison and equal these fighters that I think these people are, or these two girls and these two fighters are. So that's why I'm kind of confused by the Rose odds and why she's so heavily juiced. I know at one point Tracy was plus 195. I don't think she ever cracked higher than plus 200. I think a lot of the simps and the fan bases came out and said, whoa, they're probably rallying behind her. And I mean, rightfully so. You can get an underdog like that at good value, at good odds, which is crazy. Why not worth the sprinkle? And her fan base, you know, her simp fan base, me included, is going to rally behind her and take a chance, take a leap of faith on her to win big money here. And I think Tracy Cortez in her last fight was an underdog, and she cashed a lot of people out big. So, yeah, and with a girl like Rose Namajunas, I mean, it's not a big age difference. You know, two-year age gap, 2-year age difference. 125 flyweight division again, which is interesting because all these fights are flyweight, right? And all these girls are eventually going to be flyweight title contenders. So I think they're just doing it to see where the flyweight division stands for women's and how they can mash up the standings and where to go from there. So yeah, all these 6 girls are interchangeable for fighting each other one way or another throughout the flyweight division. So I thought that was interesting. They kind of scheduled it that way all on one similar card, which I guess it makes it easier for them to watch and keep track of because it's all right there in front of them instead of just spacing them out in different cards. But anyways, yeah, I mean, Rose is a little bit older. She's slowly creeping up to that mid-30s range where, I mean, and she hasn't been that active recently, but Tracy Cortez wasn't crazy active either before her last fight. I mean, she had so many injuries, so many problems, so many issues going on and happening that was just preventing her from fighting and stuff like that. But so far, so good. She's back. She's healthy and slowly working her way into fighting consistently. And I think her last fight, she said she wants to start fighting multiple times a year, 2 to 3 times a year if she can. She wants to build up her resume, be more active, and work her way towards that title opportunity and maybe holding it one day. Because just sitting out as much and not training or not being active and not getting fights, you can't learn. You can't get experience. It literally hurts you in this business, in this career. And if you lose, sometimes you have to lose to get over that hurdle, to that hump, to learn. So I can understand why she understands her window of opportunity is there. It's slowly closing because maybe I'm thinking that Tracy is one of those types to get a shot at the title, an opportunity for it, go for it. And if she doesn't get it, maybe retire or maybe stick around a little bit longer for a couple more checks. I think her goal is probably to get like 20 to 25 fights under her belt. I think she's smart enough and aware that she's not going to let herself go to where she gets like a terrible record or just starts getting finished left and right. She's going to call it quits at the right opportune time. So that's why between now at the prime age of 30 to like 33, 34, and within these 4 years is her chance to go and chase after that title and go get it. And it's going to take, obviously, 8 to 10 fights, which is that 20 fight mark that I'm expecting her to get, which is why I could see, like, in her mid-30s, she calls it quits and probably why she feels pressured to get more fights underneath her belt and get the experience to get to that title fight. Yeah, she has a half an inch reach advantage, so basically same reach advantage, same fighting stance. She puts a little bit more output in striking and is way more accurate. And which is crazy, which is because Rose is no slouch. She's really, really good on the ground on her jiu-jitsu style, but Tracy's very, very strong in her wrestling. And I think she might be a little bit stronger than Rose on the ground game. So she's more of a wrestler type, whereas Rose is more like a finesse. She's stylistic with her Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu judo type. And I just think that strength for Tracy Cortez will help her. She just hasn't been in situations, in submissions, or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in deep waters where she's been close to getting submitted. She really hasn't been tested that way to where she has to get out of those situations. However, her ground game has improved a lot. I know she has been working on that nonstop because she knows her striking's there. That's one of the stronger parts of her game. And she knows that her ground game is not the greatest. But I know from following her and watching her account, that's what she's been improving on a lot is the ground game. That's been an emphasis from her team and her camp. So if she can incorporate that and get better at that and more confident on the ground game, I don't see why she can't handle Rose because I think she's better on the feet. But again, Rose on the feet is a dangerous girl because she just has that kickboxing wild style, freestyle, let it all go. And she's throwing kicks, she's throwing punches from all different angles. She's very patient, very calculated, very technical. And she can get the job done. I mean, she's literally knocked out Zhang Wei Li. She literally beat Zhang Wei Li twice, which is crazy. That wasn't literally not too long ago. Only like 2-3 years ago, she did that. But then again, I just don't know what to expect from Rose because she's just up and down recently. She hasn't been as active. I mean, she just beat Amanda Ribas not too long ago, and back in March for her main event fight night, which is a solid win. But she lost to my non-Furio, but Furio's a really great fighter. 13-6 record. She's been submitted once, knocked out once, so she has been finished twice. She is finishable. 2-1 by knockout, 6-1 by sub. Again, the Zhang Wei Li is really holding up her resume, and it's very impressive. And then she lost her title and relinquished her belt to Carla Esparza, which was crazy. It was by split decision, and some would argue a robbery, because I didn't see how Carla Esparza really won that. That was just like a weird fight all in all to expect and see that. And Carla Esparza, you knew it was a fraud alert or fraud check of her winning the belt because she literally relinquished the belt right back right away to Zhang Wei Li. And Zhang Wei Li's been holding the throne and been dominant forever in the flyweight division. I mean, some people are calling, because Rose has lost a couple of times in her last few fights, her washed. She's not there anymore. And some of her fights, she does look lazy. She does look like not all the way there. And from what I saw footage of her sparring literally earlier this week and during the week, she just doesn't look fit or cut. Maybe it's because she hasn't officially cut the weight or, to where she's chiseled or thinned out or cut it out. But she just looks very sloppy. Like she has a lot of body fat on her. She just doesn't look in it anymore. And Tracy Cortez looks very cut up. She looks very, very strong. She looks good. She looks ready to go. But you just can't put anything past with Rose. I know she's kind of an outlier right now because you don't know what to expect. Her volume, her output on the feet and on the ground. She's a very dominant fighter, very, very strong. And which could pose as a threat for Tracy Cortez. It really could pose as a problem for her. And the other thing is, in the back of my mind, the reason why I know the odds makers made Rose a big favorite here is because she is comfortable. She trains in this area and at high altitude, so she is comfortable. She definitely has the gas tank 100% for sure to fight in this fight in altitude. And Tracy Cortez has never fought in altitude. Again, coming in on short notice, never fought in altitude, doesn't train in altitude. Her camp is not there. Her fight camp and team is out of Arizona at Fight Ready, literally not that far away from me. And based on footage from my scene, she did her whole entire fight camp out of that gym, which is no altitude at all in Scottsdale. Unless she went and hiked Camelback Mountain or whatever the different mountains, or went to Flagstaff and she didn't document it on her Instagram for all her followers to see. Maybe she didn't want us to see it. So we don't know about that if she went and did that on her own or not. Because Flagstaff, I mean, is a mile-high city itself, too, here in Arizona. So they got altitude there. But then again, I just don't think she trained in altitude, which is going to hurt her because Tracy Cortez has gone the distance in 3-round fights, but this being a main event turns it into a 5-round fight, which absolutely changes everything for her. She's never been to deep waters in championship rounds and 5-round fights, which honestly favors Rose with her being comfortable and already training and fighting in altitude. I know people want to write Rose off, but she's still there. She's still top 5 or 6 ranked, whatever she is in the flyweight division for a reason. And Tracy Cortez, I believe, is like 11, maybe 10 or 11. But my official play for this one, I see Rose. My heart tells me Tracy. My brain knows it's Rose. To bet on Rose. That's the way I would lean. But for my official pick, I'm going to lean Tracy Cortez because I'm a fan of hers. I want to see her win. I want to see her do good. You can call me a simp, whatever. I'm a big follower of hers. And honestly, outside of her looks, I mean, she is a good fighter and fun to watch and interesting to watch. And deadass, I'm not even saying that to like backtrack or cover my ass on that. She is a good fighter. Do I think Tracy Cortez can last to the distance, all 5 rounds? Absolutely. More often than not, chick fights go the distance. It's very rare that it doesn't. And sometimes these chick fights can scrap and go down. I mean, literally, Tracy Cortez's last 5 fights were literally all by decision. One of them by split, but most of them by unanimous. She's only knocked out 1 person. She subbed 1 person, and she's been subbed herself. And it was literally her first fight all the way back 7 years ago to some nobody that we don't know about in Invicta. She got submitted. But she learned, she got better, improved. She fought a lot of cans here. Caitlin Neal, she's in the UFC now. She's been thrashed around. I mean, dude, she literally beat Erin Blanchfield, bro. Erin Blanchfield in Invicta in regionals, which is absolutely crazy because look how Erin Blanchfield has turned out. She's turned into an absolute monster, absolute beast, absolute tank, and everyone thought she's the next in line to take over the throne and take the belt. And Manon Furio said, not so fast. They humbled her real quick, but Erin Blanch is still looking like that girl that can eventually one day hold that title, and Tracy beat her. I would say Erin Blanchfield is way better than Rose Namajunas, and Tracy beat her, which is crazy to say. She beat Jasmine Jasudavicius in her last fight. That was last year on the Grasso Shevchenko 2 card on Noche UFC. And Tracy Cortez is already hinting that she wants to fight at Noche UFC in September. Already beat her 2nd fight in 1 year. The first time she's ever done that in her career, so she's already showing more signs of activity. I mean, yeah, it's very possible. I would sprinkle on Tracy Cortez money line. Like I said, no slouch. I mean, she's only getting better, only improving. Again, Rose is such an outlier. We don't know what to expect. It makes sense to lean the juice with her, but also it's like, do you really want to put Rose in your parlay? It goes the distance. And here's why I'm saying that is because another factor to play in is if this does go the distance, I could see Rose, I could see Rose getting screwed over by another robbery split decision, because maybe the companies wants nothing to do anything with Rose anymore. They want to be up and out with her and move on from her and be on the way out because there's no marketability from promotion there. I mean, Rose still has a solid cult following. She still has a good following and fan base around her, but it's slowly fizzling and dying out. And I think Tracy Cortez is just the new biggest thing, the new hot thing, no pun intended, that they want to rally behind and market behind. She already has a growing fan base, a big fan base because of her looks. And if she can put, her fighting, success to her looks, she's only going to get bigger and bigger. And it's somebody they can market around being a Hispanic, Latina, Mexican fighter that, Joe Rogan loves Mexican fan base and he loves Mexican fighters, all that stuff. So he knows that he can market Tracy Cortez that and make a lot of money off of her, which is surprising to say the least. So yeah, I could see Tracy Cortez pulling off a robbery decision, which is why I'll probably lean Tracy Cortez money line. And Tracy Cortez by decision. I just don't see any girls getting finished. Like I said, in the footage that I saw, Rose Namajunas looked very chubby. Even in this photo, she kind of has some body fat on her around her midsection area, her stomach area. And, you know, Tracy Cortez looks, you know, poised. She looks very, very strong and cut up. So, yeah, if she can keep Rose away on the ground and strike with her and land some good shots, Tracy Cortez can very, very well pull this off. And that's going to be my official pick and will make my official card. So, there you guys have it. That's going to round out my official UFC Fight Night Denver Namajunas Cortez card. Picks and predictions, betting picks and predictions for you guys. To close it out with you, my official parlay here is going to be Josh Fremd on the money line, Luana Santos by ITD or Luana Santos money line, Blackshear money line, Fatime. Actually, no, she's not gonna make my card. Excuse me. Joshua Van money line, Christian Rodriguez money line, Silva money line, Santiago money line, and Tracy Cortez money line. It will be my official parlay. I don't know the exact odds there. In post edit, actually real quick, let's look at it right now. I'm pulling up my FanDuel. In post edit, I'll have the odds put up on the screen. If you guys want a long shot parlay, I would probably do, let's see. I would probably do Josh Fremd money line. I would do Luana Santos ITD, Blackshear by decision, Fatime Kline by decision, Joshua Van by knockout or decision. Let's see if the props are officially out. Oh, wow. The props are already officially out. Cool. I like that. So let's see. Right now, we're going to look at it. I got Josh Fremd, like I said, Santos, Blackshear, Joshua Van, got Christian Rodriguez, got Silva, Santiago, and Tracy Cortez. So that 8-leg parlay, about, what, 3/4 of the card, if you take 8 out of the 12 fights on there. 8-leg parlay official odds, all money line will be plus 7,682, 7,682 odds, which is not bad. Sprinkle $10 on it, you can walk away with $800. Not bad at all. 25, whatever your unit size is, that is definitely worth a sprinkle. But yeah, for my long shot parlay for you guys, let's roll that back. We got Josh Fremd money line. We got Luana Santos ITD. We have Blackshear by decision. We got Joshua Van by knockout or decision. Luana Santos by knockout or submission. -1. One by knockouts -105. Submission or points is -105. On Blackshear. They don't have props out yet for that fight. I said Fatime Kline by decision, right? Joshua Van by knockout. I got Joshua Van by knockout or decision. They're leaning towards his submission prop, which is crazy. -140 for knockout or decision, but -105 for. Let's put Cody Brundage in there for the long shot. Let's take Christian Rodriguez by knockout or decision. Let's take Silva by knockout, 100%. I'm going to take Santiago plus 145. We're leaning towards the knockout. I'm going to take Tracy Cortez by decision plus 270. So those 10 legs right there on my long shot parlay officially. That'll be my official long shot parlay. $10 will pay you out $32,460.39. The official odds is 32,400. No, excuse me. 324,603 odds. Not bad. Sprinkle $5, $1 for that long shot parlay. I absolutely like that a lot. I might actually put full blown $10 on that myself, which is crazy. You can actually win big there with that. Not a bad parlay at all. And yeah, there you guys have it. The odds will be up on the screen. I'm going to do a better job of post edit, and I'm still learning. I don't know how to do it yet, but I'm going to put timestamps in between each individual fight to let you guys know what fight I'm talking about, so it's easier to track and follow, so you guys can skip through ahead. I know it's hard to follow that way. I'm just slowly getting better, improving, so please let me know and down below in the comment section below what you guys want me to change, fix, improve, get better on. I know rambling is probably going to be the main thing that you guys are going to say, but the thumbnail, if I need to improve on that, post edits, if I need to improve on that, let me know if there's any mistakes that I'm making there in that aspect. But yeah, there you guys have it. Like the video, helps me push out to algorithm. Comment what you guys think. What are your guys' favorite picks? What do you guys like yourself for this fight card? What official picks are you guys taking? What's your parlays looking like? I'm very intrigued to see what you guys have. And like I said, subscribe to enter into the giveaway for the poster that we have here, and for the BetMGM hat. We are giving the hat away at 250 subscribers and 300 subscribers for the UFC 300 poster. And yeah, let's keep it rolling. Let's have another hot week. We finished literally 12-1 in my last video. If you didn't catch my last video, for UFC 303, was actually crazy. So that was like my 8th or 9th fight card, finishing like in the 85-90%, 95%, percentile of hit rates, which is absolutely crazy to do that in any sport, and any sports betting of any sport at all. That is just crazy to do. So hopefully we can keep that track record up and keep it going. And yeah, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Instagram or TikTok so we can go live on there as well. I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.